Picture a world of clattering hooves, stone castles and parchment decrees where power wasn't just held, it was wrestled, charmed and outsmarted. You're stepping into the life of Eleanor of Aquitaine, a woman who didn't just live through medieval history, but carved her name into it with a quill sharper than any sword. Born around 1122, she entered a Europe stitched together by feuds and fragile alliances, where kings schemed and popes preached. Eleanor wasn't just another noble. She was a force, a queen twice over, first of France, then of England, who led armies, sparked rebellions and shaped dynasties. Forget the Hollywood glow of golden crowns. Her story is gritty, woven with ambition, betrayal, and a stubborn refusal to fade into anyone's shadow. Let's set the scene. Dim the lights, maybe crack a window for that cool night air, and imagine the scent of wood smoke curling through a bustling court. Eleanor's childhood unfolded in Poitiers, the heart of Aquitaine, a land so rich it made kings jealous. Her father, William the Duke of Aquitaine, ruled a domain stretching from the Loire River to the Pyrenees. Think sprawling vineyards, bustling ports and fields heavy with grain. This wasn't just land, it was power enough to rival the French crown itself. Eleanor, his eldest daughter, wasn't raised to simper in the background. From the moment she could hold a thought, she was steeped in a world of poetry, politics and philosophy. While most girls her age were taught to sew and pray, Eleanor was deciphering Latin texts, strumming lutes and learning the chessboard of diplomacy. Her tutors didn't just teach her to read, they taught her to rule. What's that like, you wonder? Imagine being a teenager in a glittering hall, surrounded by troubadours singing of love and war, while advisors whisper about alliances. Eleanor's education wasn't just bookish, it was electric. She absorbed the art of courtly love, a newfangled idea that mixed romance with chivalry, and she wielded it like a blade. Her wit was quick, her presence magnetic. Chroniclers later said her court buzzed with music and ideas, a place where knights didn't just fight, they swooned. But don't let the romance fool you. Beneath the velvet, Eleanor was being forged into a leader, her mind as sharp as the falcons she hunted with. Her inheritance, Aquitaine, wasn't just a prize, it was her birthright, and she knew its weight. Now let's pause and reflect. Eleanor's early years weren't just about growing up, they were about growing into power. In a world where women were often pawns, she was already plotting her own moves. No soft mattresses or central heating here, just drafty stone walls, scratchy wool gowns, and the constant hum of ambition. If you're listening from a cosy bed, maybe hit that like button and tell us where you're from. What time is it there? For Eleanor, time was always ticking toward power, toward legacy. Her story's just beginning, and trust me, it's about to get wilder. You're back in the 12th century where the air smells of damp earth and candle wax, and Eleanor of Aquitaine is about to take the stage as a ruler. It's 1137 and tragedy strikes like a thunderclap. Eleanor's father, William X, collapses on a pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela, his breath snuffed out by fever or poison, nobody's sure. At just 15, Eleanor inherits Aquitaine, a third of modern France, a land of rivers, forests and restless vassals. Imagine the weight. You're a teenager, barely old enough to ride solo now, commanding a duchy richer than most kingdoms. The church bells clang, the nobles murmur, and every king in Christendom starts eyeing you like a prize hog at market. But Eleanor, she's not here to be won. She's here to play the game. Her guardians move fast, too fast. Within months she's betrothed to Louis, heir to the French throne. It's no love story. It's a power grab. Aquitaine's wealth and ports could tip the balance of Europe, and the French king wants them locked down. The wedding's a blur of silk and incense, but fate's got a cruel sense of humour. Days after the vows, Louis VI, the old king, dies, and suddenly Eleanor's not just a duchess, she's Queen of France, married to Louis XV, a lanky, pious boy who'd rather pray than rule. Paris, their new home, feels like a crypt compared to Poitiers' vibrant courts. The air's thick with incense, the courtiers dower the halls, echoing with Latin chants. Eleanor, used to poetry and laughter, feels like a falcon caged in a monastery. Here's where it gets messy. Louis is devout, awkward, and about as decisive as a wet sponge. Eleanor. She's fire-lively, opinionated, and unafraid to call a spade a spade. You can almost hear the creak of her chair as she leans into council meetings suggesting strategies while Louis blushes and mumbles. The court's shocked. Queens are supposed to birth heirs, not opinions. She tries to fit in, but it's like squeezing a storm into a teacup. Her bold dresses, her Aquitaine accent, even her love of music, they all clash with Paris's sombre vibe. Whispers start. She's too wild, too southern. But Eleanor doesn't care. She's got lands bigger than Louis's kingdom and she knows it. The tension's palpable like a rope fraying under strain. She bears Louis a daughter but no son, and the court's muttering grows louder. Picture her pacing her chambers, the flicker of rushlights catching her frown. She's not just fighting for respect. She's fighting to be heard. Her Aquitaine knights, loyal to her alone, stand guard their armour clanking in the quiet. This marriage, this court, it's a chessboard, and Eleanor's already planning her next move. If you're drifting off, maybe picture her sharp eyes glinting in the dark. No subscriber button in 1137, but if you're enjoying this, hit the like and tell us what time it is where you are. Eleanor's story's heating up and the crusade's coming next. You're in 1147 now and the world's buzzing with fervour like a hive kicked over. The Second Crusade's been called and Europe's kings are itching to prove their piety or their power. Picture the scene, dusty roads choked with pilgrims, the clang of armour, and the faint whiff of sweat and incense in the air. Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of France, isn't content to wave a handkerchief from a tower. No, she's saddling up her Aquitaine blood boiling with ambition. At 25, she's not just joining her husband Louis VII on this holy war she's leading. Imagine her hair braided tight riding at the head of hundreds of knights, her banner snapping in the wind. This isn't a queen playing dress-up, it's a ruler staking her claim on history. Let's set the mood. Dim those lights, maybe let a fan hum like the distant drone of a crusade camp. Eleanor's decision to join the crusade shocks everyone. Queens don't do this. But she's not alone, she's got a posse of noble women armoured up like Amazons riding beside her. Chroniclers clutch their pearls, muttering about vanity and scandal, but Eleanor doesn't blink. She's brought her own vassals, her own wealth, and her own will. The journey's brutal, France to Germany, Hungary to Asia Minor through scorching plains and jagged mountains. The army's morale wilts under the sun, food dwindles, and disease creeps in like a thief. Louis pious but spineless fumbles as a commander, his orders as shaky as his prayers. The French army stumbles into ambushes in Anatolia, bodies piling up in the dust. It's a mess, and Eleanor's not shy about saying so. In Antioch, things take a turn. Eleanor's uncle, Raymond of Poitiers, rules the city, a charming, sharp-witted prince, who speaks her language literally and figuratively. The court's alive with music and strategy, a slice of Aquitaine in the desert. She thrives here, advising Raymond, plotting next moves. But whispers start late-night meetings, too much laughter. Rumours of an affair ignite, fanned by Louis's jealousy. True or not, they're poison. Louis, red-faced and righteous, drags her out of Antioch, ignoring her protests. Picture her on that forced march, her jaw tight the rift, with Louis splitting wider than the Red Sea. This crusade's not just a failure, it's the death knell for their marriage. Eleanor wanted to lead to shape the fight. Louis wanted a silent saint. The clash is deafening. Now let's breathe. This moment's a pivot. Eleanor's not just a queen anymore. She's a rebel in the making. No memory foam in those camp tents, just hard ground and harder truths. If you're tucked in, maybe tap that like button and tell us where you're from. What's the time there? Eleanor's story's about to twist again with a divorce and a new king on the horizon. It's 1152 and Eleanor of Aquitaine's had enough. The air in Paris feels heavy like wet wool, and her marriage to Louis VII is a frayed rope ready to snap. Picture her in a candlelit chamber, her sharp eyes scanning parchments, her mind racing. The Second Crusade exposed the chasm between them. Louis all prayers and indecision, Eleanor all fire and strategy. They've got one daughter, no sons, and a court full of gossips who smell blood. Eleanor pushes for an annulment, and it's not just a whim, it's a power play. The church, ever flexible for the right price, cites consanguinity, some distant cousin nonsense, and by spring she's free. Her lands, her title, her future, they're hers again. Imagine the relief, like shedding a too-tight corset mixed with the thrill of what's next. Now let's crank up the drama. Barely 8 weeks later, Eleanor marries Henry of Anjou, a 19-year-old duke with a grin like a wolf, and ambition to match hers. He's 11 years her junior, bold as brass, and already carving out a name as a warrior. This isn't just a marriage. It's a middle finger to Louis, and a seismic shift for Europe. Henry's lands plus Eleanor's Aquitaine create an empire stretching from Scotland to the Pyrenees dwarfing France. Louis is livid his ex-wife just checkmated him. By 1154, Henry's crowned King Henry II of England, and Eleanor's queen again this time in a court that hums with energy. Picture her striding through Westminster, her gown trailing like a comet, her Aquitaine knights at her heels. She's not just a consort, she's a partner ruling beside Henry, her mind as much a weapon as his sword. Their early years are electric. Eleanor births 5 sons and 3 daughters, cementing their dynasty. Her court in Poitiers becomes a beacon think candlelight lutes and poets, spinning tales of courtly love, a concept she's practically inventing, but cracks are already forming. Henry's ruthless, a storm of a man who loves her, but doesn't share power easily. For now they're a team, but you can feel the tension like a bowstring pulled taut. No Wi-Fi or coffee shops in all 54, just cold stone halls and hotter ambitions. If you're cosy under a blanket, hit that like button and tell us what time it is where you are. Eleanor's empire is rising, but trouble's brewing with Henry. You're in the 1160s and Eleanor of Aquitaine's star burns bright over England and beyond. Picture her in Poitiers, her Aquitaine stronghold, where the air hums with lutes and the scent of lavender drifts through open windows. As Queen of England married to Henry II, she's not just ruling, she's reshaping the world. Her court's a magnet for poets, knights and dreamers, a place where ideas spark like flint on steel. This is where courtly love takes root, a romantic revolution that's half poetry, half power play. Knights pledge their hearts to ladies, not just their swords, and Eleanor's the mastermind weaving chivalry into a cultural force. It's no fairy tale, though, her influence is as strategic as a battlefield manoeuvre. Let's settle in, dim the lights, maybe let a fan whisper like the breeze through Poitiers' halls. Eleanor's life is a whirlwind. She's birthed 8 children, 5 sons, 3 daughters, securing the Plantagenet line. When Henry's off conquering or scheming, she rules in his stead, her decrees as firm as the stone walls around her. Her court's a dazzling mix of Aquitaine's warmth and England's grit, with troubadours singing of heroic quests and lovers' sighs. She's not just hosting parties, she's crafting a legacy, patronising arts that'll echo for centuries. But here's the rub, Henry's a force of nature, brilliant but brutal. His affairs, especially with Rosamund Clifford, sting like a slap. Eleanor, in her 40s, feels her influence wane, her once equal partnership turning lopsided. You can almost hear her pacing the clink of her rings against a goblet as resentment simmers. This isn't just about love gone sour. Eleanor's still a political titan, arranging marriages for her children to bind Europe's crowns. Her sons, Henry the young king, Richard, Geoffrey, John, are growing restless, chafing under their father's iron grip. She advises, she strategizes, but Henry's dismissals cut deep. Picture her in a candlelit hall, her sharp eyes catching every glance, every whisper. She's not fading quietly, she's plotting. No Netflix or comfy sofas here, just drafty castles, and dreams as big as empires. If you're tucked in, hit that like button and tell us where you're from. Maybe it's 7:34 p.m. Like here in my time zone, Eleanor's story's about to ignite with rebellion. It's the early 1170s, and the Plantagenet Empire's a powder keg. Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of England, is done playing second fiddle to Henry II. The air's thick with tension, like the moment before a storm breaks. Picture her in a shadowed chamber, her once dazzling marriage to Henry, now a battlefield of mistrust. He's a tyrant in her eyes, unfaithful, power-hungry and stingy with authority, even toward their sons. Eleanor, nearing 50, isn't about to bow out. She's got a plan, and it's audacious. Rally her sons, Henry the young king, Richard and Geoffrey, to rebel against their father. This isn't a family spat. It's a full-blown revolt with swords drawn and alliances forged in secret. Get comfy, maybe fluff that pillow, or let a fan hum like distant war drums. Eleanor's move is bold, even reckless. She's not just whispering encouragement, she's pulling strings across Europe, rallying nobles, and even her ex-husband Louis VII of France to back her boys. Imagine her pen scratching late into the night, forging letters, her Aquitaine seal gleaming in candlelight. In 1173 the rebellion erupts. England and Normandy are ablaze with sieges, and for a moment Henry's caught flat-footed. Eleanor's reach is staggering. She's a queen in her 50s, outwitting Europe's most powerful king. But Henry's no fool. His counterattack is swift, brutal, and merciless. The rebellion crumbles. Geoffrey surrenders, young Henry falters, and Richard, fierce but outnumbered, can't turn the tide. The betrayal cuts Henry deepest, not from his sons, but from Eleanor. She tries to flee Aquitaine in disguise, but his men catch her, the clank of chains replacing her royal silks. By 1174 she's under house arrest, stripped of power, moved from castle to castle like a pawn. Picture her in a cold tower, her breath misting in the chill, yet her spirit unbroken. 16 years of captivity stretch ahead, but Eleanor's not defeated. She's enduring, watching, waiting. No smartphones or cozy blankets in those damp cells, just her iron will. If you're drifting off, tap that like button and tell us what time it is where you are. Eleanor's down, but her story's far from over. It's the mid-1170s and Eleanor of Aquitaine's world has shrunk to stone walls and guarded doors. After her failed rebellion against Henry II, she's a prisoner moved from one drafty English castle to another Salisbury Winchester, wherever Henry's mood dictates. Picture her in a sparsely furnished chamber, the air sharp with damp, a single window framing a sliver of grey sky. No more Poitier's vibrant courts, no clinking goblets or troubadour songs. At 50-something, Eleanor's stripped of her titles, her lands, her freedom. Yet even in chains, she's no broken bird. Her mind's a steel trap, her spirit a smouldering ember. This is Eleanor enduring, waiting, outlasting. Settle in, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the wind whistling through castle turrets. For 16 years, she's under house arrest, a queen reduced to a ghost in her own empire. Henry's not cruel enough to kill her name's too weighty, her Aquitaine legacy too valuable, but he's petty enough to keep her caged. Guards watch her every move, their boots scuffing the stone floors. No trials, no public disgrace, just silence. But Eleanor's not silent inside. She hears whispers of her sons, Richard, her lion growing bolder, John her youngest scheming in shadows. She keeps tabs through loyal servants, her network still humming like a spider's web. Imagine her pacing her fingers, tracing the rough walls, plotting moves on a chessboard only she can see. This isn't defeat, it's defiance in slow motion. Eleanor's resilience is her weapon. She reads, she prays, she thinks, always thinking. Her son's battles against Henry rage on, and though she's locked away, her influence lingers in their fire. The years grind on her hair greys, but her eyes stay sharp, catching every shift in the wind. No electric blankets or streaming services in those cold towers, just stubborn hope and a will to outwait fate. If you're cosy under a quilt, hit that like button and tell us where you're from. Maybe it's 7:38 p.m, like here in my time zone. Eleanor's biding her time and freedom's closer than she knows. It's 1189 and the tides of fate are turning. Henry Thecker, the lion who caged Eleanor of Aquitaine, lies dead, worn down by betrayal, illness, and his own relentless drive. Picture Eleanor now in her late 60s, stepping out of captivity after 16 years. The castle doors creak open, and there she stands, her posture regal, her gaze like a blade. Her son Richard, bold and battle-hardened, is now King Richard III of England, the Lionheart. His first act, freeing his mother. She's not just a queen again, she's a force unleashed ready to rule as regent, while Richard chases glory in the Third Crusade. The air smells of opportunity sharp as polished steel. Get comfy. Maybe let a fan spin like the wheels of a royal carriage. Eleanor hits the ground, running crossing England to secure Richard's coronation. Her presence quells unrest. Nobles who'd schemed under Henry bow to her now. She's a whirlwind, negotiating treaties, settling disputes, and managing a kingdom teetering on chaos. Richard trusts her completely, naming her chief advisor and regent. Picture her in a great hall, her voice steady, issuing commands, while scribes scramble to keep up. She's arranging marriages for her daughters and granddaughters, weaving the Plantagenet bloodline into Europe's thrones, Castile, France, Sicily. Her diplomatic dance is masterful, each step tying the empire tighter. But trouble's never far. Richard's brother John, ambitious and slippery, plots to undermine him while Richard's off crusading. Eleanor's on it like a hawk, rallying loyal barons, fortifying castles, and keeping John's schemes in check. At nearly 70, she's riding across the realm, her stamina a marvel. When Richard's captured on his way back from the Holy Land in 1192, held for a ransom that could bankrupt England, Eleanor doesn't flinch. She crosses the Alps in winter, her cloak snapping in the icy wind to negotiate his release. The ransom, 150,000 marks, is paid, and Richard returns thanks to her iron will. No smartphones or central heating in those snowy passes, just grit and glory. If you're tucked in, tap that like button and tell us what time it is where you are. Eleanor's not done yet, her final acts are coming. It's 11:90, and Eleanor of Aquitaine, now nearing 80, carries the weight of a lifetime war's crowns and losses. The air in Aquitaine feels heavy, scented with earth and memory. Her son Richard the Lionheart lies dead, felled by a crossbow bolt while quelling a rebellion. Picture Eleanor, her face etched with grief, but unyielding, standing in a quiet chapel. the flicker of candles catching her silver hair. With Richard gone, the Plantagenet crown passes to John. Her youngest son, impulsive, mistrusted a far cry from his brother's legend. Europe's eyes turn to Eleanor, the matriarch who's outlived most of her children. Her final mission to secure a fracturing dynasty. Settle in, maybe dim those lights, let a fan hum like the murmur of a distant court. Eleanor's not retiring, she's rallying. She lends her name to John's shaky claim her presence a shield against rebellious barons. But her heart's in Aquitaine, her ancestral land, and her mind's on the future. At 77 she embarks on a gruelling journey to Castile, crossing treacherous mountains to fetch her granddaughter Blanche for a strategic marriage to the French heir Louis VIII. Picture her in a swaying litter, her bones aching like a creaking ship, yet her will ironclad. This union isn't just a wedding, it's a thread to stitch peace between England and France, a legacy woven in blood and diplomacy. By 1202, Eleanor retreats to Fontevraud Abbey, her favoured sanctuary. The stone walls feel cool, the air thick with incense and quiet. She takes a nun's habit, but don't mistake it for surrender, she's choosing her endgame. Even here, kings and nobles seek her counsel, their boots echoing in the cloisters. When she dies on April 5, 1204, at roughly 82, it's no quiet passing. Her tomb at Fontevraud beside Henry II and Richard shows her with a book, not a crown, a nod to her intellect, her defiance. No Wi-Fi or memory foam in those monastic cells, just a life that burned brighter than any torch. If you're cozy, hit that like button. Maybe it's 7:39 p.m. where you are like. Here Eleanor's story closes, but her shadow stretches long. You're standing at the edge of Eleanor of Aquitaine's life, but her story doesn't end with her death in 1204. Picture a tapestry, golden threads weaving through centuries, binding kingdoms and ideas. Eleanor's legacy isn't locked in stone tombs or dusty scrolls. It pulses in the bloodlines of Europe's thrones and the very notion of what a woman can be. Her life, a saga of queenship, rebellion and resilience, reshaped medieval history and echoes even now. Let's linger here in the quiet aftermath where her influence unfurls like a banner in the wind. Get comfy, maybe let a fan spin like the turning pages of a chronicler's book. Eleanor's children and grandchildren carried her fire. Her daughter, Eleanor of England, became Queen of Castile. Her granddaughter Blanche, whom she escorted to France, birthed Louis IX, the saintly king. Her sons Richard and John left marks of glory and chaos, their reigns shaped by her fierce spirit. But her impact runs deeper than blood. Before Eleanor, queens were shadows, pawns in dynastic games. She shattered that mould, ruling lands, leading crusades, defying kings. Her courts in Aquitaine birthed courtly love, a cultural wave that rippled through poetry, music and chivalry, softening the edges of a brutal age. Even her defiance, imprisoned yet unbroken, outwitting time itself, set a new standard. She wasn't perfect. Her ruthlessness could cut like a blade, her ambition sometimes outran her reach. But she was never invisible. Historians now see her as a pivot point, a beacon of female agency in a world built to silence women. Picture her name whispered in courts from London to Lisbon, her story retold by scribes who once scorned her. No smartphones or viral posts in 1204, but her legend was its own wildfire. If you're tucked in, tap that like button, and tell us where you're from. Maybe it's 7:39 p.m. Like here Eleanor's gone, but her legacy's a flame that never dims. Imagine Paris in the late 12th century, a muddy sprawl of timber houses hugging the Seine, where the air smells of river damp and wood smoke. No glittering Eiffel Tower, no chic cafes, just a city on edge wary of invaders and rival kings. You're standing where the Louvre begins, not as a museum, but as a beast of stone born from the fears of a young King Philip II. It's around 1190, and he's got English threats breathing down his neck with Aquitaine's power, thanks to Eleanor looming large. So he orders a fortress, a grim sentinel to guard his capital's western flank. This isn't art. It's survival raw and unyielding. Set the scene dim, those lights let a fan hum like the creak of a drawbridge. The Louvre rises on the riverbank, its massive keep, a 30-metre tower of cold grey stone, squat and menacing. Picture it thick curtain walls, arrow slits narrow as a squint iron gates that groan under their own weight. A wide dry moat circles it, daring anyone to try their luck. Below ground, secret tunnels snake through the earth, carved for sneaking supplies or slipping out during a siege. Some say those passages still lurk beneath modern Paris, whispering of a darker time. This fortress isn't pretty. It's a fist clenched against the world. Philip's vision is practical, not poetic. The Louvre's meant to hold Paris together, a stronghold for arms grain and royal will. You can almost hear the masons' chisels, the grunt of labourers hauling stone, their boots sucking in the mud. It looms over the Seine like a sleeping giant, its shadow a warning to enemies. No velvet curtains or marble halls here, just the scrape of steel and the weight of duty. If you're tucked in, maybe hit that like button and tell us it's 7:40 p.m, where you are like here in my zone. The Louvre's story starts in grit, but it's about to grow into something grander. Fast forward to the early 16th century, and Paris is stretching its limbs, no longer a walled-in medieval town. The Louvre, that hulking fortress, feels like a relic, its moat, a muddy ditch, its keep, outdated against cannon fire. Enter King Francis, a man with Renaissance fever burning in his veins. He's been to Italy, dazzled by its arches, frescoes and swagger. Picture him striding through the Louvre's grim halls, his boots echoing, dreaming not of defence but of dazzle. It's 1546 and he's ready to transform this stone beast into a palace fit for a modern monarch. The air's alive with possibility, scented with sawdust and ambition. Get cosy, maybe let a fan spin like the hum of a Renaissance workshop. Francis orders the old keep partly demolished, its stones carted off to make way for elegant wings and ornate facades. Italian architects roll into Paris, bringing plans for columns, symmetry and light. The Louvre starts to bloom, its walls softening with carved details, its courtyards opening like petals. But Francis isn't just building, he's collecting. He snaps up Italian masterpieces, including Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, bought straight from the artist's hands. It's tucked away, not yet a public icon, but the seed of the Louvre's future museum is planted. Picture the canvas in a quiet chamber, its smile catching the flicker of rushlights. This transformation's no quick fix. The fortress's bones, those thick walls, those buried tunnels linger, grounding the new elegance in medieval grit. Francis wants a symbol of culture, not just a home, and his successors like Catherine de' Medici keep pushing. She dreams of linking the Louvre to her Tuileries palace, stretching it along the Seine into a sprawling complex. No smartphones or gallery apps in 1546, just the clink of chisels and the rustle of ambition. If you're under a blanket, tap that like button and tell us it's 7:40 p.m. where you are like here. The Louvre's shedding its armour, but its heart still beats with power. It's the late 17th century, and the Louvre's grand halls once alive with the royal pomp are falling quiet. Picture Paris under Louis XIV, the Sun King, a man who dreams bigger than city walls. The air smells of polished wood and wax, but the Louvre feels cramped to him, tangled in old aristocratic webs. In 1682, he makes a bold move, uproots the royal court to Versailles, a glittering new palace miles away. Imagine the Louvre's tapestries swaying in empty rooms, the clatter of courtiers' heels fading like a distant storm. This isn't just a relocation. It's the end of the Louvre as the heart of French monarchy. Settle in dim, those lights let a fan hum like the rustle of abandoned curtains. With the king gone, the Louvre's left in a strange limbo. Its marble corridors built for Francis Thuris's Renaissance swagger now echo with neglect. But it doesn't crumble. Instead, something unexpected stirs. Louis, for all his theatricality, loves art. He lets the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture move in turning dusty chambers into studios. Picture painters and sculptors at work, the scent of turpentine mingling with Parisian damp. Philosophers and mathematicians wander in too, their debates bouncing off the walls. The Louvre is no longer a king's home, it's a buzzing hive of creativity. This shift isn't tidy. The buildings are patchwork, half-finished renovations, cluttered salons, administrative offices squeezed into corners. Yet beneath the chaos, a new idea flickers. Could this old palace belong to the people? Whispers of a public gallery start a place where anyone, not just nobles, could see the royal collection. It's a dream not yet real, but the seeds planted. No electric lights or audio guides in 1682, just candlelit halls and a quiet promise. If you're cosy, hit that like button, maybe it's 7:43 p.m. where you're like here in my zone. The Louvre's fading as a palace, but its next chapter's brewing. It's 1793 and France is a furnace of revolution. The monarchy's toppled, the guillotine's blade is busy and Paris reeks of gunpowder and defiance. Picture the Louvre, once a royal playground, standing solemn amid the chaos. Its walls etched with centuries of kingly pride are about to be rewritten. The National Assembly declares it the Muséum Central des Arts de la République a public museum free for all. Imagine the shift where kings once feasted common folk now tread their boots, scuffing marble floors, gazing at art that was once locked away. This isn't just a museum, it's a rebellion against privilege itself. Get comfy, maybe let a fan spin like the murmur of revolutionary crowds. On August 10th, the anniversary of the monarchy's fall, the first galleries open. The irony's thick as the Seine's mud. Saints, gods and emperors stare down from canvases while outside the old order burns. But the Louvre's collection is patchy revolution's scattered treasures. Churches are raided, aristocratic estates stripped, anything tied to privilege seized. Picture carts rumbling through Paris piled with paintings and statues bound for the Louvre's growing hoard. It's messy, chaotic, but the museum's becoming a vault of beauty reclaimed for the people. Then comes Napoleon, a man who sees art as conquest. By the late 1790s, he's renaming the Louvre the Musée Napoléon, stuffing it with loot from his campaigns, Rome's statues, Venice's paintings, Egypt's sarcophagi. Imagine the halls swelling with winged victories, and Roman busts a showcase of empire. But when Napoleon falls in 1815, the reckoning hits. Some treasures are returned, others stay their origins a quiet scandal. No ticket apps or guided tours in 1793, just the raw thrill of art for all. If you're tucked in, tap that like button, maybe it's 7:43 p.m. Where you are like here, the Louvre's reborn but shadows of plunder linger. It's the dawn of the 19th century and Paris pulses with the beat of empire. Napoleon Bonaparte, a Corsican general with a conqueror's gleam in his eye, has seized France's reins. The Louvre, now a public museum, is about to become his trophy case. Picture the grand halls, their marble floors echoing with the clack of soldiers' boots as carts roll in laden with plundered art. From Rome to Venice, Egypt to Berlin, Napoleon's armies sweep through Europe, stripping palaces and temples bare. The air smells of dust and ambition, and the Louvre, renamed the Musée Napoléon, swells with spoils. This isn't just a museum, it's a monument to conquest. Get cosy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the creak of those loot-heavy carts. Napoleon sees art as power, each statue a notch on his belt. Winged victories from Greece, Roman busts, Egyptian sarcophagi, they pour in, transforming the Louvre into a dazzling showcase. Imagine workers hauling a massive marble Athena, her blank eyes staring as she's propped against a wall. The galleries grow chaotic, crammed with treasures from a dozen cultures, all under France's banner. It's a cultural coup, but it's not subtle. Every canvas and column screams, "Look what I've taken." Napoleon's even got his own curators cataloguing the hall, turning plunder into prestige. But empires fall, and so does Napoleon. By 1815, his defeat at Waterloo cracks the dream open. Conquered nations demand their treasures back. Picture diplomats arguing in smoky rooms, while some artworks like Venice's bronze horses make the journey home. Others stay tucked into the Louvre's corners, their origins conveniently blurred. The museum survives the reckoning, no longer a conqueror's vault, but a symbol of something bigger, civilization's shared story. No online catalogues or climate-controlled cases in 1805, just the raw clash of art and ego. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 7:45 p.m, where you're like here in my zone. The Louvre's expansion comes at a cost and war's shadow looms next. It's June 1940, and Paris is a city under siege, its boulevards shadowed by swastikas and the rumble of German tanks. The Louvre, crown jewel of French heritage, stands vulnerable, its galleries packed with priceless art. Picture the tension, curators whispering in dim halls, the air thick with fear and turpentine. The Nazis are coming and they've got a taste for looting. But the Louvre's not caught sleeping. Months before, a secret plan kicked into gear, a daring evacuation to save France's soul. Imagine trucks slipping through the night crates stuffed with the Mona Lisa Venus de Milo and winged victory bound for rural hideouts. This isn't just a move, it's a cultural resistance. Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the hum of those covert convoys. The operation's massive, the largest museum evacuation ever. Thousands of artworks are packed in custom crates labelled with cryptic codes and shipped to castles, abbeys and chateaux across France. Picture the Mona Lisa wrapped like a precious relic bouncing in a truck bed under moonlight. Curators risk everything, some joining the resistance forging papers or misdirecting collaborators. When Nazi officers strut into the Louvre, they find empty frames and decoy paintings, their fury echoing in the hollow galleries. The museum's repurposed as an office for the Kunstschutz, the Nazi art theft squad. But the real treasures are gone, scattered like seeds. By 1944, as the Allies close in, the hidden artworks are moved again to dodge bombs and looters. When Paris is liberated in August, the Louvre's defenders emerge weary but triumphant. Picture the slow return crates, pried-open canvases unrolled each piece of victory. Some bear scars was no gentle handler, but the Louvre's spirit endures. No GPS or security cams in 1940, just courage and cunning. If you're under a blanket, tap that like button. Maybe it's 7:45 p.m. where you are like here. The Louvre's survived, but its modern makeover's up next. It's 1981 and the Louvre's feeling its age like a grand old dame with creaky joints. Paris buzzes with modernity, but the museum's galleries are cramped, its entrances chaotic, its layout a maze even locals curse. Picture President François Mitterrand, a man with a flair for bold strokes announcing a radical overhaul the Grand Louvre project. At its heart, a glass pyramid in the historic courtyard designed by Chinese-American architect Monsieur Pei. The idea lands like a thunderbolt, a sleek modern structure amid Renaissance facades. Sacrilege, cry the critics. The air's thick with debate smelling of newsprint and Parisian coffee. Get comfy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the buzz of 1980s Paris. Construction kicks off in 1984, turning the Louvre into a dusty scaffolded mess. Parisians grumble, newspapers howl, one calls the pyramid a monstrosity scarring France's soul. Picture the chaos, cranes looming, workers shouting, tourists dodging debris. Pace stays cool, insisting the pyramid's clean lines and transparency will harmonise with the old palace, not dwarf it. More than that, it's practical, a grand central entrance to unify the sprawling wings. By 1989, the pyramid's unveiled, glinting under Parisian skies. Something shifts. Visitors stream through its underground concourse, bathed in natural light, moving with ease. The grumbling fades. The pyramid's a beacon, modern yet timeless. This transformation's more than glass and steel. It's the Louvre embracing the future while cradling its past. No QR codes or touchscreens in 1989, just the thrill of a museum reborn. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe at 7:46 p.m, where you are like here in my zone. The Louvre's shining, but its shadows controversies over stolen treasures are next. The Louvre stands tall in the 21st century, a global icon drawing over 10 million visitors yearly. Its galleries a kaleidoscope of human history. But beneath the polished marble and glass pyramid shadows linger stories of theft, plunder, and unanswered questions. Picture the museum's halls where Egyptian statues and Greek marbles gleam under soft lights, each piece trailing a story not always told. From the French Revolution to Napoleon's conquests, the Louvre's collection grew through seizure, not just patronage. The air carries a faint whiff of controversy, like dust stirred from ancient scrolls. Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the whisper of those debated histories. During the Revolution, churches and noble estates were looted, their art feeding the Louvre's hunger. Napoleon's armies took it further, hauling treasures from Italy, Egypt, and beyond. Some were returned after his fall, but others, like Egypt's Rosetta Stone, stayed sparking modern repatriation battles. Greece wants its Parthenon marbles, Egypt eyes its obelisks. Then there's the 1911 Mona Lisa heist, when a handyman strolled out with her under his coat, sparking a 2-year manhunt. Picture the panic even Picasso questioned, until she resurfaced in Florence. Other losses, crowns, relics, Nazi-looted works haunt the Louvre's ledger, their ghosts unreturned. Yet the Louvre's legacy soars beyond scandal. It's a living memory palace, from medieval fortress to Abu Dhabi's 2017 outpost, blending cultures under a golden canopy. Picture visitors, a child sketching a statue, an elder gazing at a canvas, each step a journey through time. No dusty tomes or silent ruins here, just a pulse of art and ambition. If you're cozy, tap that like button, maybe it's 7:46 p.m, where you are like, here. The Louvre's story closes, but the Terracotta Army's up next. It's spring 1974, and the fields outside Xi'an in China's Shanxi province are parched under a relentless sun. Picture a handful of farmers, their hands calloused, digging a well to fight the drought. The air smells of dry earth, the only sound the rhythmic thud of shovels. Then a clang metal on something solid, not rock but clay. They scrape away soil, and a face stares back, hollow, life-sized, eerily real. A torso emerges, then arms, then another figure. These aren't statues, they're soldiers frozen in time. The farmer's shouts echo across the fields, and soon archaeologists swarm the site. You're witnessing the unearthing of the terracotta army, a wonder buried for over 2,000 years. Get cozy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the buzz of that first discovery. As excavations deepen, the earth yields a staggering sight, row after row, of clay warriors 1,000 strong standing in military formation. Each face is unique. Sharp cheekbones, curled lips, solemn brows. Some clutch spears, others crouch as if ready to fire. Clay horses, chariots and bronze weapons flank them, crafted with chilling precision. This isn't just a tomb. It's a subterranean empire guarding the unexcavated mound of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, China's first unifier. The world's captivated headlines screaming of a lost army risen from the dirt. This moment's electric a window into ancient China's soul. The farmers, now local legends, had no idea their well would rewrite history. Picture their wide eyes as experts flood in, brushes in hand. No smartphones or viral tweets in 1974, just the raw thrill of uncovering eternity. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 1:49 PM where you're like here in my zone. The terracotta army's revealed, but Qin's vision for immortality is next. You're in 221 BCE, and China's a newly forged empire under Qin Shi Huang, a man whose ambition could move mountains. Picture him in Xianyang, his capital surrounded by advisors, the air thick with ink and incense. He's unified warring states, standardized coins, script, even wagon axles, but one enemy haunts him, death. Born in 259 BCE, Qin's obsessed with outrunning mortality, his dark eyes searching for secrets in alchemist brews and mystic scrolls. He sends ships hunting elixirs, downs, mercury-laced potions, ironic since they'll likely kill him. But his real bid for eternity, a tomb so vast it's a kingdom beneath the earth, with the terracotta army as its heart. Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the whisper of ancient plans. Qin's vision isn't a humble grave. He wants a subterranean world mirroring his empire, complete with armies, rivers and star-studded ceilings. Construction starts when he claims the throne, a 40-year labour of obsession. Picture workers toiling under torchlight, shaping clay warriors to guard him in the afterlife, each one a spirit in stone. Not just soldiers, officials, musicians, even mercury rivers to mimic China's waterways. Ancient texts say crossbows were rigged to fire at intruders, a paranoid emperor's trap. This isn't art for art's sake. It's power sculpted to defy the underworld's shadows. Qin's fear of death drives this madness, but it's his genius that makes it real. He dies in 210 BCE at 49 mercury poisoning, snuffing out his quest. Yet his army stands a silent legion under the soil. No Wi-Fi or blueprints in 221 BCE, just a ruler's dream of ruling forever. If you're cozy, tap that like button, maybe it's 1:49 PM. Where you're like here, Qin's vision lives in clay, and the warrior's craftsmanship is up next. You're standing in the shadow of Emperor Qin Shi Huang's vision, where the terracotta army stands silent beneath Xi'an's soil. Picture Pit 1, a vast underground hall stretching over 750 feet, packed with thousands of clay soldiers, each one a masterpiece of ancient craft. The air's thick with the ghost of their creation, a mix of clay dust and sweat from 200 years ago. These aren't cookie-cutter statues no two faces match. One warrior's got a stern brow, another a curled lip, a third a jaw like a clenched fist. Their individuality isn't just art, it's a mirror of Qin's real army frozen in clay to guard his afterlife. Get comfy. Maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the clink of ancient tools. The craftsmanship stuns. Each soldier's armour with its rivets and overlapping plates mimics real leather and bronze. Hairstyles, top knots, braids signal rank and region as if sculpted from life. Some held bronze swords sharp even now, others posed with crossbows ready to fire. Pit 2 holds cavalry horses snorting in clay. Pit 3 is a command post, officers poised with grim focus. Artisans painted them in vivid reds, blues, even lavender, though air stripped the colours bare. Imaging tech reveals their lost brilliance like glimpsing a dream. This wasn't a solo act. Sculptors, painters, blacksmiths and engineers wove a tapestry of skill guided by military blueprints. This army's more than decoration. It's Qin's obsession with control etched in every rivet and frown. Picture the workshop's torches flickering as hands shaped eternity. No 3D printers or power tools in 221 BCE, just raw talent and relentless precision. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 1:50 PM, where you are like here in my zone. The warriors' detail is staggering, but the labour behind them is next. You're deep in the heart of Qin Shi Huang's empire around 230 BCE, where his tomb complex rises like a buried dream. Picture a sprawling worksite near Xi'an, alive with the clatter of kilns and the grunt of labourers. The terracotta army isn't the work of a few artists, it's a colossal state project, swallowing decades and lives. Ancient records whisper of 700,000 workers, craftsmen shaping clay peasants, hauling earth prisoners toiling under whips. The air's heavy with smoke and despair, the ground scarred by their sweat. This isn't just a tomb, it's an underground city built to cradle an emperor's eternity. Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the creak of wooden carts. The scale's mind-boggling. Over 50 square kilometres, workers carve chambers for warriors, bronze birds, even artificial rivers of mercury. Clay soldiers are fired on sight, their bodies moulded heads hand-sculpted for unique faces. Picture artisans, their fingers raw, etching rivets into clay armour. Beyond the army, they craft musicians, acrobats, officials, a whole society in miniature. Some workers never leave. Texts hint at executions to keep the tomb's secrets buried. Archaeologists find kilns and bones, silent witnesses to the cost. Mercury in the soil backs ancient tales of toxic rivers, a trap for robbers, or a mad king's whim. This labour wasn't just skill, it was sacrifice driven by Qin's iron will. Picture the overseers, their tallies relentless, as torches burn through the night. No unions or coffee breaks in 230 BCE, just a dynasty's dream crushing human backs. If you're cozy, tap that like button, maybe it's 1:50 PM where you are like here. The army's built but the tomb's unopened. Mysteries are next. You're standing above a tree-covered mound near Xi'an, a quiet hill hiding one of history's greatest secrets, the unopened tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Picture it 250 feet high, cloaked in earth, and silence untouched for over 200 years. The terracotta army guards its edges, but the heart of this necropolis, the emperor's burial chamber, remains sealed. The air feels heavy, charged with whispers of ancient texts that describe a subterranean palace, towers rare jewels mimicking stars, rivers of mercury flowing like China's waterways. Crossbows rigged to fire at intruders lurk in the dark. This isn't just a grave, it's a world built for a man who defied death. Get cozy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the echo of those unseen chambers. Why hasn't the tomb been opened? It's not for lack of curiosity. Technology lags behind ambition. Excavation risks, destroying fragile artifacts like the warrior's paint that faded on exposure. Soil tests show high mercury levels hinting at toxic traps, or a mad emperor's vision dangerous to unearth. Then there's reverence in Chinese tradition. Disturbing the dead, especially an emperor, is taboo. Picture archaeologists debating their tools, idle weighing science against respect. The tomb's a time capsule holding textiles, paintings, maybe Qin's own remains, but it waits its secrets locked in clay and shadow. This mystery isn't just about what's inside, it's about what we choose to preserve. Picture that mound under a grey sky, its silence louder than any dig. No drones or X-ray scans in 210 BCE, just a ruler's dream of eternity. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 2:44 PM where you're like here in my zone. The tomb's secrets linger, but the army's weapons are next. You're deep in the pits of the terracotta army where clay soldiers stand armed for an eternal war. Picture Pit 1, its ranks bristling with weapons, swords, spears, halberds, crossbows, arrows, all forged in bronze, not for show, but for slaughter. The air's thick with the memory of their making a tang of metal, lingering from 2,200 years ago. These aren't props, they're lethal, crafted with a precision that humbles modern minds. Emperor Qin Shi Huang didn't just want a symbolic guard, he wanted a lethal legion ready to fight off afterlife threats, as fiercely as his living troops crushed rivals. This is an army built for eternity's battlefield. Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the twang of an ancient crossbow. Archaeologists uncovered thousands of weapons, some still razor sharp. Picture a bronze sword, its edge gleaming under excavation lights or arrowheads, designed to pierce armour from afar. Crossbow triggers with intricate mechanics could fire with deadly accuracy. Studies reveal a secret. Many blades were coated in chromium oxide, a rust-proofing trick not rediscovered until the 20th century. Qin's blacksmiths were wizards of their craft, their alloys defying time. The army's layout mirrors real military order infantry in front, archers on flanks, officers in Pit 3's command hub. Each detail a snapshot of Qin's war machine. But not all survived. After Qin's death in 210, BCE rebels or looters raided the tomb, setting fires, stealing weapons, collapsing roofs. Picture the chaos, clay cracking under flames. What remains tells a story of paranoia and power. No AK-47s or laser sights in 221 BCE, just bronze and brilliance. If you're cozy, tap that like button, maybe it's 2:44 PM, where you are like, here, the weapons are deadly, but the tomb's broader wonders are next. You're standing at the edge of Emperor Qin Shi Huang's necropolis near Xi'an, where the terracotta army is just one piece of a vast underground empire. Picture a sprawling complex over 50 square kilometres, not just soldiers, but a clay-cast court, musicians, dancers, acrobats, even bronze birds perched by artificial rivers. The air carries the faint echo of ancient ambition, a whiff of clay and mercury from 200 years ago. Qin didn't want a mere tomb. He wanted his world reborn beneath the earth, a mirror of his unified China, complete with officials, entertainers, and horses ready for his eternal reign. This is legacy sculpted in silence. Get cozy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the distant clatter of Qin's workshops. Beyond the warriors, archaeologists uncover robed figures frozen mid-performance, their flutes, and poses alive with ghostly grace. Stable hands kneel, their clay faces weary. Bronze cranes line mercury rivers, mimicking nature itself. Ancient texts speak of celestial ceilings and booby-trapped corridors, a paranoid emperor's defense against the afterlife's thieves. The Qin dynasty fell just 3 years after his death in 210 BCE, torn by rebellion, yet this buried empire endured hidden until 1974. It's a testament to a man who conquered China but feared death his army, a silent hymn to his fleeting power. This complex isn't just relics, it's a snapshot of a civilization's peak, ruthless, disciplined, brilliant. Picture the world marvelling as Xi'an's pits yield their secrets, each figure a whisper of Qin's dream. No excavators or museum apps in 210 BCE, just clay and will-defying time. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 3:15 PM where you are like, here in my zone, Qin's legacy stands, but Greek theatre's roots are next. Step back to ancient Greece, 6th century BCE, where theatre isn't born in playhouses, but in the wild pulse of worship. Picture a hillside under open skies, the air thick with wine and olive oil, as villagers gather to honour Dionysus, god of wine, fertility, and ecstatic release. This isn't entertainment, it's ritual, a sacred dance with the divine. You're there, feet dusty, surrounded by chanting locals, their voices rising in dithyram's wild choral hymns that sway like waves. The scent of roasted goat and crackling fires fills the air, and the crowd's not just watching, they're part of the frenzy, united in devotion. Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the rustle of ancient tunics. These festivals aren't stage shows, they're communal, everyone joining the dance, drink and song. The dithyrambs sung by groups of 50 men or boys weave tales of Dionysus, his birth, his wanderings, his joy and pain. Over time, one voice breaks free, a lone performer stepping from the chorus to speak, not just sing. Tradition credits Thespis of Icaria for this leap-turning ritual into drama by embodying a character, god, hero or mortal. Picture him, his voice cutting through the crowd, sparking the first flicker of theatre. This isn't art for fame, it's a mirror to the gods, a sacred act of story. Theatre's roots are raw, tied to sacrifice and ecstasy. No spotlights or ticket stubs in 6th century BCE, just voices and faith under starlit skies. If you're cozy, tap that like button, maybe it's 3:15 PM where you are like, here in my zone, Dionysus' festival sets the stage and the city Dionysia is next. You're in 6th century BCE Athens springtime, and the city's alive with the pulse of the city Dionysia, a festival honouring Dionysus, god of wine and wild ecstasy. Picture streets thrumming with music, the air thick with roasted meat and spilled wine as citizens, foreigners and farmers pour in. This isn't just a party, it's the cradle of Western drama, where religion, politics and art collide. Imagine standing on a hillside, the Acropolis looming above as thousands pack into a vast open-air theatre carved into the earth. The festival lasts days, a civic ritual where Athens pauses to drink, dance, and dream unified under Dionysus' spell. Get comfy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the murmur of that ancient crowd. At the heart of the Dionysia is a theatrical showdown. Playwrights submit trilogies, 3 tragedies, plus a cheeky satyr play, performed from dawn to dusk before a jury. Picture the scene actors in vivid masks, their voices booming across stone tiers, weaving tales of gods and doomed heroes. The audience, from generals to labourers, isn't just watching. They're part of a sacred act, their gasps and tears a prayer to Dionysus. Wealthy Athenians fund these shows as civic duty, and tickets are cheap so even the poor can join. Winning isn't just glory, it's divine favour, a poet's offering to the god and city. This festival's more than spectacle. It's democracy in motion, a mirror for Athens' soul. Picture the chorus dancing their song, stitching myth to morality. No playbills or popcorn in 500 BCE, just raw stories shaking the heart. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 3:23 PM, where you are like here in my zone. The Dionysia's stage is set and tragedy's evolution is next. You're deep in 5th century BCE Athens, where tragedy isn't just a sad tale, it's a soul-wrenching probe into fate, guilt, and the god's fickle will. Picture the theatre of Dionysus packed with thousands, the air sharp with olive oil and anticipation. Greek tragedy born from Dionysian chants has grown into a force, a spiritual scalpel slicing through human pride and divine wrath. It's not about happy endings. It's about heroes, kings, warriors, mortals toppled by their flaws or cosmic inevitability. You're watching a play unfold, the chorus's wail echoing your own questions. Are we free as suffering deserved? Can anyone dodge the gods? Settle in, maybe let a fan spin like the hum of a flute underscoring the drama. 3 titans shape this art. Aeschylus the Elder adds a second actor sparking true dialogue. His austere trilogy, heavy with murder and divine justice, feels like a thunderstorm, solemn and vast. Sophocles refines it, adding a third actor and deeper characters. His Oedipus Rex is a gut-puncher king fleeing fate, only to crash into it, his pride and pain achingly human. Euripides the Rebel pushes realism, his flawed heroes raw and relatable. His plays like Medea spotlight women and outcasts daring to question the gods. Picture the audience shaken, leaving not entertained, but purged their hearts scoured by catharsis. Tragedy's power lies in its tension, choice versus destiny, mortal versus divine. Picture the actors' masks, their exaggerated grief amplifying every cry. No intermissions or velvet seats in 450 BCE, just stone benches and truths that burn. If you're cozy, tap that like button, maybe it's 3:23 PM where you're like here, tragedy's carved its mark, but comedy's wild laughter is next. You're back in 5th century BCE Athens, where the city Dionysia's laughter cuts through the spring air like a blade. Picture the theatre packed with rowdy Athenians, the scent of wine and roasted nuts mingling with their cheers. Greek comedy, born alongside tragedy in Dionysus' wild festivals, isn't just giggles, it's a riot of satire, rude and fearless. Unlike tragedy's sombre gods, comedies are rebel mocking politicians, philosophers, even the audience itself. Imagine actors in padded suits and grotesque masks, their antics loud enough to shake the stone seats. This isn't escape, it's Athens laughing at its own flaws, a pressure valve for a city wrestling with war and power. Get cozy, maybe dim the lights, let a fan hum like the crowd's uproar. Aristophanes, the king of old comedy, steals the show. His plays are absurd, biting and bold. In the Clouds, he skewers Socrates as a bumbling sophist. In Lysistrata, women halt a war by withholding intimacy, a scandalous jab at Athens' endless conflicts. The Frogs sends Dionysus to the underworld for a playwright showdown poking fun at tragedy itself. The chorus often breaks the fourth wall, shouting directly at you, airing the playwright's gripes about politics or art. Later, new comedy by Menander shifts to tamer tales of love and family seeding Roman plays and modern sitcoms. Picture the laughter sharp as a whip, uniting rich and poor in a shared wink at life's absurdities. Comedy's not just humour, it's truth in a jester's cap, daring to question power in a democracy where words matter. No laugh tracks or streaming apps in 420 BCE, just raw wit under open skies. If you're tucked in, hit that like button, maybe it's 3:24 PM, where you are like here in my zone. Comedy's had its say, but theatre's sacred role is next. You're in ancient Athens standing in the theatre of Dionysus, carved into the Acropolis's southern slope. Picture it 17,000 souls packed onto stone tiers, the sea glinting in the distance, the air alive with olive oil and incense. This isn't just a venue, it's a temple where theatre blends civic duty worship and raw human truth. Every play honours Dionysus, god of wine and transformation, and the audience isn't here to clap. They're here to feel, to purge their fears through